But for now, let's look at the enhanced code editor that I talked about. And you can use the normal way of opening the code editor, like right-clicking here in the Product Explorer and select Show Source in Editor. And here you see there is a new option called All Code at the bottom. So if you have some code snippets like here, you see there are 3 marked in boldface, then all code will also be marked in boldface, meaning that there is at least one non-empty code snippet that it can show. So if we open it here, this is how it looks right now. So you see there is one section for each code snippet, and all the empty ones are initially collapsed. That is so that you maximize the editing space for those that actually contain some code. But of course, if you want to type something like in private declarations, you can always expand them and start typing, of course. There are also some useful context menu commands here, like collapse all, and then you may choose to only expand one, for example, to give maximum space to that code snippet. It's also sometimes useful, especially if you have multiple monitors, to detach it from Eclipse, drag it out to the second monitor, and then you can really maximize it to get a lot of space for your code, if you like that. But for now, I will move it back and work with it here inside the workbench. So probably the most useful mode is to expand all non-empty. Then we will get the initial state where all the non-empty code snippets are expanded, and we can start working with them directly. There are some differences, and maybe we should say limitations, compared to the usual code editor. And we can see one of them when we are generating the code here for this model. You see there is no indication here that at this moment the code comes from the model and not from a generated file. You can see it by looking at the line numbers. They all start at 1. This is an indication that this actually is coming from the model. So if you don't have the line numbers turned on, it's recommended to have it, because this makes it easy to see whether the code comes from the model or from generated code. So let's try to generate the code and see what happens. So for that, I can just use this. I don't need to actually compile the code. I just need to generate it. So I have it on disk. And you see the code snippet that has focus now starts on line 16, showing that this now comes from the generated file and not from the model. These are not automatically updated, but you need to do something in them, like right-clicking or start with typing, and then line numbers will also update in the other code snippets. So now we can see that all these 3 here come from the generated file. Another difference is that there is no hyperlink here for navigating to the generated file, but there are usually quite easy workarounds. One workaround is to just control-click on something here, and then you will jump to it thanks to the CDT feature Open Declaration. So that's how we can jump to the generated header file. Sometimes when there are no declarations, you can instead right-click and do Show in Product Explorer, and then you get to the items here that CDT provides, and then you can right-click on it to navigate to it, and then you will come fairly close. Maybe not always exactly to where the code snippet is, but it's often quite easy to find it that way. So if we take an example here and we put it next to each other so we can see them at the same time. Just like the regular code editor, when you type something here, you see that it actually updates the generated file directly. And same if you type in the generated code and save, it will be automatically synced back without popping up this code to model sync dialog. So there's no difference in actually how you use this for editing. Yes, what more can I say? Yeah, like I said before, we know about some glitches that are also mentioned in the documentation. where some keyboard shortcuts may not work exactly as they should. Some graphical glitches sometimes, but we have gone through them and considered that they are not serious enough to have it as an experimental feature anymore. So this editor actually works quite well for your day-to-day use. And the main benefit with this compared to the other code editor is that you reduce the number of code tabs here quite significantly. So here you see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 code snippets shown in the same file. If I would have code in all of them, I would have to open 7 different code editors to have something similar, while here you have it conveniently located in a single editor. It also makes it easier to copy-paste code from one code snippet to another, for example. We can also look at a case where there are less code snippets, for example, a transition. So if we open here, select the transition, we can of course also open the same thing using the context menu on a diagram element. So here we can open the all code for a transition, which only consists of 2 code snippets, the effect and the guard. And in this case, it's quite a lot of space to edit both of them. And since we are here having generated code, we see line number start on 800 something. It also means that when we press Control Space here, we get the context menu from CDT. So here we have all the features available from CDT. You can right click and we get most of the commands in this context menu also comes from CDT. I think this is about it, what I want to show about this editor. Anyone who has any questions?